Good evening. Welcome to History of the Promised Bible's Handbook, the study, presented by He Promised Publications. We are going to be doing today Genesis chapter 15. And you see, I made it back down the hill to the river. Snake kept me away for a few days. You guys, this is so silly. That snake was tiny. I mean, it was small. I could have stomped on it and went on about my life. But I just don't do snakes. And it kept me from coming down here and sitting and being comfortable. Me sitting up there struggling, trying to hold the book and phone and all that stuff. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into Genesis chapter 15, where we will talk about the 400 years of slavery in the future. Okay? Here we go. After these things, Adonai's word came to Avram in a vision, saying, "Don't be afraid, Avram. I am your shield, your great reward." That's deep. It's not written in the Bible that is deep. That was me. Avram said, "Adonai," or the Lord, "what will you give me since I go childless? And he who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus." Avram said, "Behold, you have given no children to me, and behold, one born in my house is my heir." Behold, Adonai's word came to him, saying, "This man will not be your heir, but he who will come out of your own body will be your heir." Adonai brought him outside and said, "Look now," and here we got a promise because it's in bold print. Okay. "Look now toward the sky and count the stars, if you are able to count them." He said to Avram, "So will your children be." This is a promise. He promised him he would not be able to count his offspring. He believed in Adonai, who credited it to him for righteousness. So, and I know I'm not just reading through this. When we believe the Lord, when the Lord tells us, you guys, when you start hearing it, when the Lord tells us he's going to do something and we believe something, we get a credit of righteousness for believing that God will do what he says he will do. Okay? Verse 7. He said to Abram, "I am Adonai who brought you up out of Ur-Kasdim to give you this land to inherit it." He said, "Adonai, how will I know that I will inherit it?" He said to him, "Bring me a heifer, 3 years old, a female goat, 3 years old, a ram, 3 years old, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon." He brought him all of these and divided them in the middle and laid each half opposite the other. But he didn't divide the birds. So he cut them, okay? The birds of prey came down on the carcasses, and Abram drove them away. Now, that's a lot of meat to be driving some birds of prey away from, but he did, because he knows he's giving an offering. When the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell on Abram. I keep jumping back. Okay, deep sleep. Now terror and great darkness fell on him. He said, as in the Lord said to Abram, we've got another, this is a promise again. "Know for sure that your children will live as foreigners in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them. They will afflict them for 400 years. I'm going to read that again, y'all. The Lord said to Abram, "Know for sure that your children will live as foreigners in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them. They will afflict them for 400 years. Continuing, "I will also judge that nation whom they will serve. Afterward, they will come out with great wealth. But you will go to your fathers in peace," as in you will die in peace. "You will be buried at a good old age." So he's telling them, this thing is going to happen in the future. But you're not going to see, you don't have to be bothered with it. You're going to live to a ripe old age, and then you're going to go ahead and go to sleep. One more promise. In the fourth generation, they will come here again, for the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet full. So he's saying, I'm not going to say nothing until we get to the question in comments. It's probably in there. But there was one little line when he says the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet full. So when he says the iniquity, he gives people chances, okay? God gives people chances, not just his people, but he made everybody. So everybody is his people. He gives people chances. The flip side is he pretty much knows how it's going to go down too. So he's giving them a chance until the cup is full, until they've done so much. We're talking about the Amorites, that they cannot, there's no way they can turn back. And it's not because, I'm going to say this, that God doesn't want us to turn back. Some people go so far and they hand their minds over to the evil one that they get to a point where they can't come back. They can no longer believe that they could be saved, even if they want to. And that's what sin does. All right, verse 17. It came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a flaming torch passed between these pieces, talking about the animals that were cut for sacrifice. And in that day, Adonai made a vow with Avram, saying, I have given this land to your children, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates. The Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. Yahweh speaks with Abram. Oh, looks like I missed the line. Okay, so not a lot of questions and comments in this one, but let's get down to it and see what pops up while I'm sitting here. First question. Yahweh speaks with Avram in this chapter. Actually speaks with Avram. What does he tell him? And again, you guys, I hope you got your Bibles, your copies of History of the Promise, or your Google open to this chapter, okay? So, because you're going to have to go back. So go ahead and pause me, do what you got to do, get the answer, and come on back. Next question. What did Yahweh count as righteousness in Avram? What did Yahweh count as righteousness in Avram? All right, this next part is long. So we're going to try to break it up a little bit so you can take the time to look for what you need, okay? So the first thing we want you to do is look up the definition of the word generation. Look up the definition of the word generation. Okay, come back when you're ready for me. Oh, also, look up some synonyms, but go with the generation. Go with the definition. And then I'll be sitting here. All right, so you should have the definition of the word generation at this time. In Bible times, and so we're talking about the stories that we're reading, the people that lived the history before our history, Bible times. In Bible times, a generation was 100 years. In our times, now, a generation is about 40 years. Why is there such a difference? Why is there such a difference? That may not come to you. It might. Just write it down. Throw it in the comments section down below. Your thoughts on that. All right. So let's look back. And remember in your mind, if you've been following this chapter by chapter, which it should be followed like that so you don't miss anything, you should know the answer to this, so you have a pretty good idea. So look back earlier in the story at the ages of men when they begin having children. This might help answer your question, the question as to why is there such a difference in the years of a generation. Remember the descendants of Ham? Are any of them in the land that Yahweh plans to give to Avram's descendants? I want you to think about the descendants of Ham. One of the groups that is mentioned in this chapter that is currently in the land that Yahweh will give to at least one of them, Avram's descendants, lives in this land. And it's one that should kind of stand out to you, okay? All right, well, that was a quick one. That's okay because I have to do an extra one today anyway. I'm not going to do it on here, of course, because I missed yesterday. I was cooking, walking into in faith into God's promise, keeping myself away from nursing and moving forward with this other thing I'm doing. So I'm going to end it there. Any questions or comments, go ahead and put them down in the comments section. I'll get to you. And like I told you guys early in the beginning of this whole thing, negative or positive, I expect negative comments because nobody wants to talk about the Lord no more. So I expect it. I expect challenges. But I will say I am not here to go back and forth. I'm just going to read the book that we were brought on to help put together. And that's pretty much the gist of it. But I'm never going to stop anybody from saying how they feel, okay? So I want you guys to know that. That's love across the board. Do what you want. Do what you want. And we'll just keep moving on, you know? All right, you guys. Bless you. Keep your minds open. Even a little crack will give you a glimpse of light that may open up the world for you. All right. Have a good one. Bye.